I'm going to wait another minute or two because we're not quite at 8:45, and then we'll get started. But maybe we'll do a little quick housekeeping. I'm going to make this shameless plug one more time for Turkey Trot because I'm sure you've seen the signs around the city. Turkey Trot is going to be a virtual event this year. We're doing it differently because we can't all gather together. Last year we had over 1,600 participants, so we would not have been allowed to do that this year for the county rules regarding COVID. So we decided to go virtual, which means that you still walk or run. And in this year, we actually added biking too. So you can either run, walk, or bike. You do it in your time, at your pace, and using your course. You can choose from any one of three for adults, and then there's one for children, but 3 different adult events, ranging from a simple 5K walk or 5K run, or even a 5K bike, 5-mile bike, I think, all the way up to something we're calling the whole pie, which is 5K walk, 10K walk, run, and 2 biking events. So there's all sorts of great opportunities out there for people to do this in any form or fashion that they want. The swag is great. Maybe I will go get I'll get it for you afterwards and I'll show it to you at the end. The shirt, which is beautiful. It's done in full color this year. It's really, really pretty. It's purple background and just full color logo. We have a new gaiter, which is really amazing. You can wear it. I wear it all the time. It keeps your neck warm. You can wear it as a face covering in a jiffy if you had to. It's very of the times right now. It's important for our time. So that's Turkey Trot. So if you haven't signed up yet, please do so. You can go to the city's website, www.olivetmo.com. Look for the turkey. It'll take you to the appropriate page. If you don't want to walk or run, we are still accepting donations, and the donations are great because they go straight to the bottom line, which is straight to the Harvey Kornblum Food Pantry, which is really why we do this. We raise money for the food pantry. This year, above all other years, people are in huge need. People that in our communities and surrounding communities that have lost their jobs and have not yet gone back to work, they have relied heavily upon the food bank. So that's why we do it. We do it to create sense of community, but we really, really, really do it so that we can help those in need. So that's my shameless plug for Turkey Trot. I see we are at 8:45. I've seen a few more people join, but to keep this moving, I think we're going to get started. And then at the end, if you have questions, we can stay for a little while and answer those. But I do know that both Barb and Beverly and me, but less of me, but Barb and Beverly have another meeting that starts at 10:30. Yeah, 10:30. So without further ado, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with the Mayor. We're doing this Zoom again, and I thank you for joining us this morning. My guest is Beverly Tucker Knight, the Director of Parks and Recreation here at the City of Olivet, and we are going to talk about the park plan. And I can't and I won't stop thanking all of you for passing the bond issue that we had in June so that we can do the things that we're going to talk about this morning. Because had it not been for your support, for your affirmation of what we all want to accomplish here in the city with our parks and our community center, we wouldn't be having this kind of a conversation. It would be a very different conversation. And so for that, we thank you. I also want to say to you that this goes back to 2014. had the city residents not approved the new building that Beverly is sitting in and Barb is sitting in this morning, we wouldn't have I don't think we would have had the capacity to do the sort of Zoom meetings that we're doing. We would have had to really scramble to make those sorts of things work. We just didn't have that technology in that old building. So for that, we are all really, really grateful too. So thank you for that. Like I said, we're never going to stop saying thank you, because every day we realize how great it is that we have that new building, and now that we're going to have the new parks, the park improvements, and the new community center. So for that, we are very grateful to our residents. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Beverly and let her tell you all that's happening. It's very exciting.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mayor Springer. And welcome everyone. It is indeed an exciting time. And what I'm going to do is share my screen. I have a presentation to go through. I'm going to provide kind of a little reminder of how we got to where we are and tell you what's going on, and then do some in-depth into how we are implementing the Parks Master Plan through the Prop C funding. And there will be opportunities at the end to ask a lot of questions. So I'm going to move through the first part fairly quickly. I'll get my screen sharing going right now, because pictures are so much more exciting than just hearing me talk. So let's start out here. I have, you get to see behind the curtain here for a minute. So as I go into my presentation, here we go. And then let me minimize this. There we go. Can everyone see? I'm hoping everyone can see my screen. Ruth, you see everything okay?
I do.
Great. Oh, terrific. Okay. So what I'd like to do is start out by just giving everybody a quick reminder about our park system. One of the things we learned early on in exploring our Parks Master Plan was that not everybody knew that we had 5 parks. So I just kind of want to give a brief overview. I think everybody's pretty familiar with Stacy Park, which is our biggest park. It acts as a regional park. But then we also have a series of more active parks and smaller neighborhood parks. So we have Villa Park here on West Villa Drive that comes in right off Price. We have Irvside Park, which is along Old Bonham. We have Indian Meadows Park that actually has 3 access points, one in off Napoleon, off Dealman, and then also where Grandview and Huron meet, and then again where Huron meets here. And through the backside of Indian Meadows Parks, it connects with Warson Park, which is our largest city-owned park. This is 17 acres, and the city owns this outright, whereas Stacy, we lease from the city of St. Louis. Then we also have our beautiful pathway that connects from Oak Estates subdivision right here off of Old Bonham and goes all the way through to Dealman. It's a wonderful walking path. And then we also have the Great Rivers Greenway, which comes along the eastern edge of the city. You can travel on the Greenway from Olive Boulevard here all the way to Shaw Park in Clayton, which is pretty exciting. So that is in a nutshell kind of our park systems. When we talk about all of our parks, that's what we're talking about. Then, and the benefits, we certainly had huge reminders during the stay-at-home order and throughout the pandemic this summer, is that our parks really do make our life better. They provide so many benefits to us across all aspects of life, and they have truly been a respite during this time of the pandemic. And then currently what's going on in our parks, all of our park features are open today, with the exception of Villa Park restroom shut for the winter today, and we anticipate Irvside and Indian Meadows will follow suit very quickly. The crews will be out there. We winterize those restrooms because they don't have heaters, so we have to shut the water off so we don't freeze the pipes over the winter. So those are shut from November 1, and we're shutting them now because we had the hard freeze last night, and they reopen around April 15th. But we also have all of our trails open, our pavilions are open for use, and our playgrounds were reopened a couple weeks ago, and we have city staff and a big crew of volunteers that are going out on Tuesdays and Thursdays to sanitize those play structures. And as we move closer into the winter, we will taper off that because the sanitation system that we use has bleach and water, and that'll create ice out there. So we will be terminating that as the weather drops down. We'll get some more signs out for that. So people will still be able to use them, but we will ask people to just make sure that they wash their hands before and after they use them. And we've had some crowding out at Stacy, so we have some reminder signs going out letting people know that there are other playgrounds. So if it is super crowded at Stacy, you are more than welcome to go out and use another one of our playgrounds. And then the Stacy restrooms do stay open all winter long. And we have a lot going on separate from the park, from Prop C. Our park master plan that we developed is a 10-year plan. And what's happening is we have a lot of projects we're doing in-house with our own crews and with volunteers to start implementing that plan before we get the kind of the big components going with Prop C. So one thing a lot of people have been discovering is we have some new hiking trails. These were created almost 100% by volunteer workforce, and primarily actually one of our Parks and Rec commissioners, or Ed Kastner, has been the driving force behind these. So at Warson Park, here we have Warson Park here. We have this new beautiful Sassafras Trail that this is the main walking trail at Warson that's paved, and the new Sassafras Trail travels through the areas that we've been working on with Weed Warriors to clear the honeysuckle, and it comes all the way through and connects with the end of the paved trail here. So it makes this nice loop, and it's nicely shaded and has, we're adding more and more native plants in there, and it's got a nice wood chip pathway for you. It's very smooth, and people are really loving this as they discover it. We're keeping these, we did kind of a slow rollout on these because we weren't sure how they'd stand up to travel, and they've done really well. So we've started putting out some signs about them. And this is the Cottonwood Trail that's now opened at Stacy Park. And this trail, I should say the Sassafras Trail is named that because it has so many sassafras trees along the trail. And this new woodland trail at Stacy Park, we're calling the Cottonwood Trail because we actually have an eastern cottonwood tree right here that you can barely see here. That is actually one of the biggest trees in our park system. It is enormous. And this is another wood chip path that was created by volunteers that goes through Stacy Park. And here's one of the entrances. So you can see it has really nice wood chips. Now these trails are new. We're going to monitor them throughout the winter and see how they stand up to the elements. And we encourage everybody to try them out and let us know what you think. Then we also have our Weed Warriors is continuing their work. We have these wonderful benchmark photos we can show you now. So this is Warson Park. This was taken December 2015, and you can see it's a solid wall of honeysuckle that went all the way down the path through Warson Park. And this picture here was taken this spring in the exact same location. And now you can see as the honeysuckle was removed, we now have this beautiful native garden that's established here. And this now travels all the way down the full length of this paved pathway. And it's just remarkable. And this is something that was done 100% by volunteers. It's just amazing. We've been tracking it. For those of you that are interested, I'm certainly happy to share with you later, but what we do is we track the zones as we start to work in them. We label them as soon as we are in there, and then we track, are we doing active clearing? Are we planting? Are the plants established? How did we clean it? We're really monitoring what's been working really well so that we know as we get out into other parks how we're going to tackle that. These are new signs that are going out at Warson Park. This year we've been able to plant so many new trees and native plants, and not everyone knows what they look like. So you're going to start to see little roped off areas because we really want to make sure these guys get a strong, healthy start in life. So we're going to try and eliminate some of the footsteps going on some of these planted areas. So we really want to make sure people know what it is they're looking at and the benefits that we get from these new native plants. And we have other signs that are going out at Stacy Park that are similar. Then at Veterans Fountain, we have exciting things happening over at Veterans Fountain. As a new business comes in on that corner, the Veterans Fountain will be being renovated. And you can see in here that it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful site for people. Olivet and Bloom will continue their garden there. It'll stay in the same spot and actually be expanded a little bit. We will have a true dedicated flagpole in there for our veterans. Our water feature will be is going to be converted to a nice cascade in there, which will allow people to still hear the beautiful water and to see the water tumbling over the rocks, but it eliminates that that maintenance trouble that we've had with that aging fountain in there. And then it'll have beautiful native trees and plants through here. So we're very excited about this. And this work will happen in conjunction with the new building being built next to veterans. Then we also have Great Rivers Greenway is continuing their work with the extension of the Centennial Pathway from Olive through to Warson Road. And the next phase in this is they're having a public meeting on November 18th from 5:30 to 6:30. And this will be a chance for you to catch up on the plans and ask questions, and they'll share the results of the survey that so many of you participated in about what amenities you wanted to see on the pathway. There'll be links to this on the city's website. You'll also be getting a postcard in the mail, and there'll be yard signs around town to really help people get the word out about this meeting. We're hoping everyone can participate and follow along. And then I just wanted to do a quick reminder that a lot of exciting things are happening, and you are welcome to join in. We have an amazing number of ways that you can participate with us. You can go through an organized workday activity, or if you're interested, you can volunteer during the week doing tasks on your own. So we have people that choose both options. So the first one I touched on before is our Weed Warriors program. This is our oldest volunteer program that the city directly operates. This started in 2015. They work the second Saturday of the month from October through May. We welcome all ages. We do ask that if you are under the age of 14 that you come with a parent. But other than that, we provide the tools, we provide the plants, and it is a lot of fun. And you can really see the progress that we're making through the parks with Weed Warriors. We also have a crew that volunteers with us on the prairie. So this is a 50-50 activity between city staff and our volunteers. And volunteers do everything from assisting us when we do our burning, to collecting seeds, to dispersing the seeds, to planting perennials, and helping remove invasives as they come along in there. And this is a really fun activity. It's minimal hours. We do a couple projects each year with this. We have a brand new initiative that's starting with the advent of these hiking trails. And we have people that are volunteering now to help with clearing the trails. You can see the team on the left-hand side. That's the survey team that went through when they first started scouting out. That's the Woodland Trail at Stacy Park, the Cottonwood Trail. And then people are now helping us plant perennials. They're helping remove some of the euonymus that's still along the trail, spread wood chips. So this gives you a different feel to working in the parks, and it appeals to people that may not be interested in Weed Warriors, but they really like hiking. So it's been terrific. So we have some scout groups that are working with us, and people of all ages. So if you are interested in this, definitely check out our website. And then we also have Olivet and Bloom. Now, Olivet and Bloom is a wonderful organization. They've been in Olivet more than 20 years. This is a nonprofit, and they maintain the gardens at, there's a flowering garden at Stacy Park, in front of the community center, and at Veterans Park. And this is an amazing group of residents that a lot of them are master gardeners. It's a great way to meet new people, to learn a lot about plants. You don't have to know a lot to join in. And their work days are the first Saturday from June through November. And they also sponsor the native plant sale at Stacy Park. So it's an amazing group, and I encourage everyone to check out their website, olivetandbloom.org. So now, yes?
I have a quick question from one of our participants.
Yes.
They want to know if you had to be a resident in order to volunteer for any one of these groups that you just described.
That is an excellent question, and no, you do not. We actually have people that live in U City or Creve Coeur or Ladue that come and participate. Sometimes they're people that used to live in Olivet or grew up here, and they want to maintain the connection. And other people just like volunteering in the parks, and they find us. So we welcome anyone. Anyone is welcome.
Right, and I think if they have any questions, they can certainly consult our website,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And at the end, when we get into the questions, I'm the telephone number and the email and the website will all be up in there for you, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I know that was kind of a very fast trip through what we're doing, but I wanted to get into kind of the main event and talk about our park master plan. So the Park Master Plan launched in 2017 when we did the research, what do we have? What condition is it in? And that really is where we realized we need a plan because we need to maintain these beautiful assets that we have that have all been really well loved and are in a lot of need of attention. So we went through a year-long program. The City Council adopted the Parks Master Plan in 2018. The plan is a 10-year plan. And it has short-term goals, long-term goals, and goals that are a vision that were to be implemented over 10 years. And the City Council really wanted to jumpstart that. And instead of having to wait 10 years to fully implement the plan, they decided that we need to tackle those short and long-term goals first and then keep those vision plans out there. So through that, we started implementing the master plan. We kicked it off in 2019 with hiring firms to help us understand a better idea of what it would take to implement the plan. And that is through, that's when the impetus for Proposition C was created once we knew what would it really take, what funds do we really need, and that is when we started letting residents know about Prop C. And as Mayor Springer noted, Prop C passed, and we are so thankful for that. We had a 79% yes vote, and Prop C is now providing $16.2 million in funds to renovate all of our parks and to build a new community center. So I'm going to take you into that process and where are we now and where are we going? So the proposition passed in the beginning of June, and on June 23rd, we got our project team together and we had our kickoff. And we are now designing detailed master plans for all of the parks using KAI as our engineering and architecture firm. They brought on board DTLS, which is a landscape design firm. And then our city's project manager for this and our owner representative is Navigate Building Solutions. And they are the same firm that helped us and guided us through creating the new city center. So we're very excited to be working with them again because we know what an amazing partner they are for the city in helping us stay on time and under budget or on budget. So our construction will kick off from 2021 through 2022 with everything being completed by November 2022. The planning that we're in now will take us through January and then into the spring. And what I'd like to do is give you a little bit more of an understanding of what the design process really means. How do we take these beautiful conceptual designs we had from the Park Master Plan and in the planning process, and how do we make them a reality? And in a nutshell, it's a 13-step plan. However, this is, I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek because each one of these components has many more things underneath that has to happen. But basically what we're doing is we're taking those conceptual designs that were developed through the Park Master Plan through our public process where we ask people, what amenities do you want in your park system? And that's for many of you, you are very familiar with our core tenets, which were connectivity, financial responsibility, sustainability, making sure that the things that we provide in our parks are what our residents want now and will meet those needs into the future. And we really wanted innovation and best practices. So once we validated those conceptual designs with the team, we developed a timeline and a budget of how to achieve that. And then we start the due diligence for each site. You know, we have this concept of what we want in these parks, but what realistically can we do with the current site conditions? So there are a lot of things I'll show you a little bit further along that we look at each park to understand, well, we know we want a walking path, but where does that make sense? Then we also have to get our detailed drawings, and we have to get a lot of permits. We work with MSD on a lot of the stormwater issues. We have to work with Ameren. We have to work with Missouri American Water, and in some cases the county and the state, because some of our parks are on state roads and some are on county roads. So there are a lot of other agencies that come into the permitting process for that. Then we'll do competitive bids and follow all the state guidelines for our big public works contracts. Then we work with the contractor to mobilize, we do the construction, and then we have our completion, which I apologize, is spelled incorrectly, and then we can occupy. So it is a really complex process, and we're doing it in 5 locations. So it's a fascinating way to figure out how we're going to address the renovations at each park. And I wanted to give you a little bit more understanding about how that goes, because it really is fascinating. And I love it. It is, I'm passionate about our parks, but I think a lot of people would really love it too. So this is a sample of a master plan. And I selected Stacy Park because it's our most well-known park, because everybody's pretty familiar with what Stacy Park looks like right now. So one of the big features of Stacy Park is this reservoir that the city of St. Louis actively uses that provides drinking water to residents in the city of St. Louis. But within this park, we have our walking trails, we have our big grassy areas for athletics, we have our prairies, we have our beautiful fountain down here, we have a lot of play structures, and we have our new walking path. So there's a lot going on at Stacy. Stacy really functions like a regional park. So this is the conceptual design that was in our master plan. And now to start figuring out where we're going to put these things, we have to do a detailed site analysis. The first thing we look at is, what is the topography? So Stacy Park has some amazing steep slopes in it. We have these big flat areas, but we also have a deep ravine over here that is now accessible through that pathway, so you can kind of get a feel for the topography on that pathway now. We also have some steep slopes over here. This is in between the upper and lower prairies. And then we have another ravine that comes through here. And a lot of this is old water flow paths. So there used to be a lot of water there still is a lot of water that flows through here. And what this is a watershed for the sun-swept little creeklet over here. So a lot of water is feeding through here and going down in there. Then we also have drainage issues. So we have a lot of areas. We have a lot of erosion happening over here because there's a very steep slope as it falls off onto Warson Road. We have drainage issues here. A lot of you probably know that there used to actually be a pond here when this was a farm. There was a pond out here that was filled in during Prohibition because there was a beer operation, and they would take the dregs from the mash and the beer making and put it into the pond, and so it silted up over time. So we continue to have the effects of that in here. We've got water issues over here, and we have a lot of runoff. And those of you at Park in Stacy remember that water really wreaks havoc over here with our parking lot. So once we address that, then we get down to our next component of what do our trees look like. Our trees are very high value. We really, our residents and our park staff really value the importance of these trees, and we want to do a detailed assessment. We know some of them have to be removed. We have liquid emerald ash borer present in Stacy Park. We also have trees that are reaching the end of their lifespan or maybe have an infection. So we really want to take care of them and make sure we have a good planting plan to replace them. So we have to analyze each one of these trees. Is it appropriate to take it down, or is it appropriate to keep it? So we want to look at that before we start looking at the detailed plan. And then the final component before we actually start the layout is looking at how people move through the site and what happens. So for example, at Stacy Park, we have a very interesting situation where our walking path crosses the mouth of the park. The main entrance for everyone driving and entering into Stacy Park is right here. So we have this area where pedestrians and vehicles come in close contact. So that is an area we really want to address as we start doing this detailed plan. And we have another situation over here with people and cars mixing as they get in and out to access to the pavilion. We also have a pavilion that's very difficult for people to get to. When people have events here, oftentimes they are forced to drive in here to unload their equipment. And this path was not designed for that. And it also is a struggle for anybody that has mobility issues. It's very difficult for people that have that need a walker or wheelchair assistance to be able to get from the parking lot to here. And those of you that have young children know it's also really hard to get from the parking lot over to the playgrounds. There's really no way to do it without going all the way over here and coming through here. So we're really looking at how can we improve that visitor experience? How can we make it more pleasurable, more beautiful, more easy for people to access the amenities in the park? And then we also are looking at, one of the number one things we heard from residents over and over again is the importance of the walking trails. And people really want in each park the trails to be a circular pattern. So we're really looking, where does it make sense for us to kind of increase our accessibility and walking, because we have this beautiful land here. We really want people to be able to experience it. So that gives you an idea of kind of the three core things, well, the four core things when we start looking at, start with the concept plan, that we look at it, we have to do in all of our parks before we can really start figuring out the best place to place these new park amenities or renovate existing ones. I have here a more detailed design that we're working on with Worson Park. And I'd also like to let people know that as we get further along in this process, we are going to have another big public meeting for people to look at all of these and to provide feedback to these. We really want people to get an understanding of where amenities are and the look and the feel, so they can provide feedback and make, validate that we're going in the correct direction. So Worson Park's a little further along because of the requirements of the new building over there. So I'd like to give you a little bit of a sneak peek. This is a draft. It's not our final, but it does kind of give you a better understanding of how we're looking at things. So Worson Park has an entrance off Worson Road. This is the entrance to the old Saints location, and this will be the site of the new community center. And currently, the main access for Worson Park is on Grandview Drive that comes in by Harkey Nursery, also off of Worson. So as we look at this site, this is the site of the old community center. This is the site of the current parks operation, where we have the corporation yard for the parks crews. And this is a gravel driveway that's currently this site, and it currently doesn't meet a lot of the needs of the parks crew. So one of the things we're looking at is relocating it down here at this end to provide a better in and out accessibility for the parks crew, and also maintain a city presence on this end of the park when a lot of the main activities shift up here to the old Saints location. These are our existing ball fields, and this is our existing playground, existing swing set. So we're looking at putting up park amenities here, maintaining these fields, and then bringing a nice, easily accessible walking path throughout the entire park, enabled for people to walk through the whole park again, and the way I talked about that circular path. This is our new woodland trail, the Sassafras Trail through here. And this is Great Rivers Greenway as the Centennial Pathway comes, or Greenway comes through Worson Park. It'll come around the back side of the community center and come out here to Worson Road. And then eventually it will reach across Worson Road and take bicyclists and pedestrians and runners all the way to Creve Coeur Lake. So it's very exciting that this is coming through this park. We have pickleball courts that we're looking at for up here. And then this is a vision item. So when we talk about the short and long-term goals in the Parks Master Plan that we're implementing with Prop C, we also keep in mind that there are some vision items out there that we'll address over the next 10 years. And one of them is adding an additional dog park to the city. So that is Warson Park. I can show you, actually have a more detailed plan here. Again, I want to emphasize that this is a draft. This is not our final version, but it starts to help people see how it's going to take shape. We're making sure that we have good access to the site. We'll have parking close into the new building, and we'll also have pathways around for people to come in and out. You'll notice we're maintaining a lot of our trees. We really want to make sure that we have the natural beauty that's already established in this area and that the building fits into it, rather than us having to scrape it all down and have to rebuild from scratch. We're really able to take advantage of these beautiful mature trees on the site. And with that, I'd like to show you a little bit more detail of the community center. We had a conceptual design for Prop C, and since the initiative has passed, we're able to refine that design and provide a lot more detail. So this is the design we've been working on that we've shown to the City Council and to the Parks and Recreation Commission. And this will show you that you'll enter into the new community center from the parking lot, and we have this nice lobby and lounge area to welcome you. We have a welcome desk here for people to come in and get information. And then we have a fireplace and lobby, a lounge area here for you to come in and read the paper, drink a cup of coffee, meet a friend, or before you go on a walk on our walking paths or in the interior walking path, or if you're going to take a yoga class, you might want to come in a little bit early and have a chat with your friends. We also have our interior walking path that travels throughout this building on these dashed lines. So as you enter in, we have the indoor playground here. We don't have a design yet for the play structure, but we kind of have an idea of what we'd like to do. We'd like it to be active for a multitude of ages, and then also have open area where we can have story time, or also playing with large movable items for kids. This pink area is the offices of the Parks and Recreation Department. That's where the staff will work. And then we also have restrooms and drinking fountains here. And then here, this is a new function that we don't currently have in our current recreation center, but is something that we're very excited about for the future. And this is a mother's room. So this is a place for someone with young children that needs to nurse or change their baby's diaper. They have this wonderful place to come and have some respite. Then we have our multi-purpose room here. This will be where classes are held, and also where people can rent for events, for baby showers, for bar mitzvahs or bat mitzvahs, or wedding receptions, whatever you need a gathering space for your family. It will also have dividing walls similar to the community rooms at the new city center, so that we can have different spaces occupied at different times. And then we'll have a patio out here, so that if you want to have access to the patio before or after an activity, it'll be very easy to do that. This is our teaching kitchen. This is a very exciting thing that we're offering to the community. This will also serve as a catering space for someone that's having an event, either in the multipurpose rooms or even in the gym. And we'll also be able to offer classes and programs here. Very excited about that. Coming along through the rest of the building, we have a lovely seating areas here, again, for people to study, to maybe do some work while they're waiting for people. You can meet friends here, you can play cards here, whatever you'd like to do. There are also seating for you to be able to see what's going on in the gymnasium. And the gymnasium, you'll remember, has a high school sized basketball court, 2 volleyball courts, and 3 pickleball courts. This is really going to be a hub of activity for all ages. And this wall between the lounge and the gymnasium, it will be glass, so you'll be very easy for you to see what's happening inside. If you have friends playing that you want to watch, or if you're waiting for your chance to play pickleball, you'll have this nice opportunity to sit here. Across from this, we have our changing suites. So this is where you'll be able to, if you need to get a child ready to go to a class, or if you want to change or take a shower before you go back to work, you're welcome to. There's also lockers running down the middle of it. Then over here, this is our aerobics and fitness studio. We'll have a lot of classes in here again, yoga classes, our very popular senior exercise classes, our adaptive classes, those our children's dance classes. We're very excited about the added experiences we'll be able to provide in this room. And then over here is our fitness center. And the fitness center will have zones in it where you can use a step machine or ride a bicycle or a spin bike or a treadmill. It'll also have open areas for CrossFit classes. It'll also have standard weights if you really want to use a rack system or hand weights. So it'll be really, really nicely laid out for you to have ease of access and space. And again, this walking path goes through, we call it the grand tour. It goes through every aspect of the community center. So when weather is not so fun outside, you definitely have a place to come in and walk with your friends and be able to see the whole center. So that is in a nutshell what we call the schematic design phase of the community center. We've moved from the schematic design, now we're going into design development, where we really get much more detailed drawings and we really get a much better understanding of what some of our challenges is, and also making sure that we're on track with our budget. And here I have an interior view. This is a very rough outline. You'll notice that the finishes are all neutral because we haven't gotten that deep. That'll come along during design development, but this gives you a look and feel of this lobby. So this is the glass that I mentioned, that for people that are sitting here that look into the gymnasium. We have these nice skylights above that'll bring natural light into the gymnasium, into this area. This is our esports nook for people that are using esports. And then over here we have the changing rooms, and then we have the windows into the fitness studio. You'll be able to see what's going on in there. And then this beautiful big window down here, you can see the bright light coming through. This is that western window in the fitness center. So you'll be able to see through the building, but you'll also have these wonderful areas for people to mix and mingle, or even do work when you're waiting for someone. Or if you just want to come in and use the Wi-Fi, you're welcome to. We really want this to be a community gathering space where people feel welcome and you can come in at any time. I know there's going to be a lot of questions about that, so when we get into the questions, we'll be able to pull that up again. And now here we have, ta-da, this is the front door of the new community center. So this is that vestibule where you enter in from the parking lot. It's this beautiful big opening. On the right-hand side, this is the indoor playground. So you'll see that it has this beautiful roof line that mirrors a little bit of a nod to our current community center with that beautiful mid-century modern prow that comes off the top. And then you can see the natural light that's going to bring all of this natural light and the views into the children's playing area. Then over here, this is our multi-purpose room. So you can see these nice windows here that allow natural light into those meeting rooms or to those event spaces, and have this patio out here. And then we have our big, large tree that we're maintaining right here, and the Great Rivers Greenway will swing around behind that. And then I have a view coming in from Warson. So as you come up the driveway from Warson, you'll pass those beautiful trees that are along Warson Road. You'll come in the driveway, and then you'll see first the big fitness room, that big window down the end of the lobby there that you can see through. These are the fitness windows. You can see there's windows on 3 sides of that room. This is the dance and aerobics room here. These are the changing suites, so no windows in the changing suites. And then again, this is the children's play area. So you'll really be able to get a good view of that as you come in over to the parking area. So we're very pleased with this design because it really brings, it allows us to bring the outdoors in, and it really sits beautifully. This is an actual photograph of the trees at Warson Park, and this is what a beautiful setting that this is going to be for this new building. I'm very excited. I think that this is really going to be a wonderful new center for Olivet. And I wanted to make sure you had a good understanding of the timeline. So this timeline is very complex. So it has been oversimplified so that people can get I shouldn't say oversimplified, it's been simplified so that people can get an easy grasp of where we are in the process. And this is the same style of timeline we used for the Parks Master Plan. So hopefully it's familiar to people. So this timeline starts with the Prop C vote in June, on June 4th, the approval. And then here's the design kickoff where we reassembled the architect, landscape architect, and the city's project manager. And we've been working away since June 23rd. We have a core working group of architects, city staff, council members, and Parks and Rec Commissioner. And right now we have completed schematic design, and on a Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, the City Council and the Parks and Recreation Commission received a detailed update on the budget. And I apologize, that is supposed to say PARC. It looks like it didn't pull down. And this is where we are. So we're really starting to get information out to people now. We're going to have a public meeting in January. We still don't know the format. I'm assuming at this point it will probably be virtual, but we want to make sure it's interactive. So we're working on that. We're going to give people an opportunity to really have a detailed understanding of where we are and ask questions and provide feedback. Then as we move into the late winter and spring, we're going to be designing, creating all the construction documents for the preparation for the community center and for Warson Park to get ready to go out to bid. Then we'll be going out to, we'll be getting our permits from all the other agencies. We'll conduct our competitive bids and we'll sign our contracts over the summer in June and July. Then in August, we'll have mobilization for the community center, and Warson Park Phase 1 construction we anticipate starting in July. So that'll be some of that site work that has to happen before we get into here. And somewhere in here, so I've put in September, but we still don't have a defined date yet. We'll be having a groundbreaking. And I really hope that that can be an in-person event. Fingers crossed that we'll get there. Then we'll be entering intense construction for the community center, and that will happen all the way through over here to November 22nd, and we anticipate a grand opening in December. Similar to this building, the building was finished for the city center. The city moved in, and we got the operations up and running, and then we were able to have a big grand opening and all of our open houses. So we'll follow a similar pattern with the new community center. And then a lot of the park work happens by season. Really, a lot of the, for example, we really want to plant our trees if at all possible in the fall or the spring. We certainly don't want to be planting in the summer if we can avoid it. So a lot of the parks will be phased in their construction. So Warson Park Phase 1 will be here, and then the Phase 2 will pick up again in September, November of 2022. Throughout this time, we'll be providing monthly updates to the Parks and Rec Commission and to the City Council. And these are public events, and you are more than welcome to attend those events and ask questions of this process. We will also be having a construction information website that'll have those same updates put up on it on a regular basis. And we'll be having informational boards out in all of the parks so that if you're visiting the park, you can have a really good understanding of what's going on there while you're there and what you're seeing. So that is for Warson Park and the community center. And then I have another one for the city parks. It just got too crowded to have them both on the same one. But you'll notice that the dates on the timeline mirror each other. So this is the same ratio of dates. So we started with the Prop C vote. We had the design kickoff. And right now in the parks, we're in conceptual design phase. So we are moving into a more detailed design of Warson Park now, because it is running ahead of the other parks due to the construction required for the new community center. But we will still have park information on these conceptual drawings in January. And then we move into the more detailed design, schematic and detailed design for the parks from March through August of 2021. Somewhere in here, we'll be having the same type of meeting in January for people to get a more detailed understanding about the parks and provide feedback and really ask a lot of questions. Then similar to the community center and Warson Park, we'll do the same thing with developing those construction documents for all of the parks, the permitting required, and then we'll move into the bids and contracts, mobilization, and then construction. Now, the construction of the parks, we will be developing the phasing as we go through this process over here, because there are times in the parks where, like, for example, if we're doing paving, we may do paving in all the parks at the same time, if that's what works best for the phasing and for the construction costs. Or it could be that one park receives it earlier than the other. So as we get more into our detailed design and as we go through the bid process, we'll really have a better understanding of how that phasing will be. So some parks may all have work going on at the same time in one area, or it may need that one part of the park is cordoned off for a period of time. So as we get into that process, those informational boards at the park will be really helpful for park users to see what exactly happening when, so that you don't, if you want to have a big party in the park rent the pavilion, you want to make sure it's not going to be during the time we're closed. So we really want to make sure that everyone understands exactly what's going on. So we will continue to provide those monthly updates to the commission, the council, and to the public. Then we anticipate the parks will complete around the same time as the community center, weather permitting. It's with the parks working outside sometimes things, if we have a bad storm or an extended period of cold, that may impact some of that construction going on. But these timelines will be updated, and we'll keep these up to date. Similar to the park master plan, we're building a little website within our website to make sure that people can see everything and have access to it. All right, so that takes us through that 13-step design process. I hope it wasn't too technical. And what I'd like to do is turn things back over to Mayor Springer and be able to answer questions.
Thank you, Beverly. That was very informative. I've seen this, and I've actually sat on the meetings. The meeting that we all have after Coffee with the Mayor is actually a park meeting to discuss some of the park details. And having sat through all of these meetings, every time I see this presentation, I do learn something different, or I see something that I didn't necessarily see the previous time. So I appreciate the detail, and I know the residents do too. I do have a couple questions that have already come up. One is from Greg. He wants to know, I assume you are going to tear down the old community center.
We are going to tear down the old community center. That will be, right now we have the Parks and Rec Department offices are in there. We still have some programs going on in there. So we're going to keep that open until as long as we can. So ideally what we'd like to do is stay in there until the new center's open and just move seamlessly over there, and then demolish that building. So that kind of comes into that phasing of that. So where we come into that, the design and the phasing of the buildings, we start to look at what can we put around that site before that building comes down, because once the building comes down, we know there's going to be things that are built there, but maybe those will be the vision items and not the short and long-term goals. So that comes into that kind of that site planning. And I'm very pleased that I am not necessarily a landscape architect trying to grapple with that.
And another question has been asked. They did not see Stacy Park on the completion for the city parks timeline. Is that there?
Oh, you know what? That's an oversight. So it should be in there with those other ones. So these let me go back to the design process. So this timeline is brand new. So that is a complete oversight. So Stacy should be listed right here. So that's a very good input. I will correct that.
Good catch.
Yeah. So thank you. That was a great catch. This is the first time that we've presented this timeline. So thank you very much.
Yeah, you are paying attention. We really appreciate that. I don't have, I'm just trying to see. I do not have any other questions, but if people do have questions, please either type them in or raise your hand and we can have you ask those questions live. I'm just looking, I'm sorry. I don't have any other questions. Are there questions? Hold on, another one just came in. What is the timing of the new Veterans Park completion?
I don't have a timeline for that yet. The design for the landscape is complete, but Firestone is still working on their designs, and they just cleared another portion with the PCDC commission this week, and I know that the sale is still active. So until that happens, I don't have a start date for that project. I would anticipate that they may start in the winter.
All right, two things, not three, two things. I do have one other question, and then Barb is going to unmute everyone. So you are all welcome to ask questions to us, you know, so we can actually hear the questions. But the next question that came in is, what is the timing of the Greenway, of the Great Rivers Greenway path going, you know, north?
Yes.
While
Yes. So the Greenway, you'll learn a lot more. I can speak very, very high level on that because I'm not the project manager for the Greenway, but we are working in collaboration with them. Thankfully, our construction will be collaboration as well, because it would be horrible for us to build our new building and then they come in and tear up things to put in the new Greenway. So we're going to do construction as best we can in tandem for the Greenway and the community center. And my understanding with the Greenway is they are going to do their extension through all of it in 2 phases. So from Dealman to Warson is one zone, and from Olive to Dealman is another zone, but they'll go into more detail about that on their meeting next month. So I really encourage all of you to attend that. They also are having weekly construction meetings. The city staff sits in on those. Where the trail wraps around the community center, that area is still they're still refining that design. That path may move a little bit further to the south. So they're going through the same process that we're doing with the surveying and the topography, because the Greenway can never exceed 5% grade. So as they come through a site, they really have to find the best route to make sure that it is accessible for everyone and they're not exceeding that grade. So that's another complex engineering hurdle for them. The other thing is they're going through along the River des Peres. They also are going to be doing a lot of stream bank stabilization. They're going to do the same things we are with invasive species removal, planting native plants. So it's a very, very complex engineering feat that they're doing as well. So that's a great project for you to ask them about at their meeting.
I have one last question that came in, two probably. That one came in the chat from Brianne. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Any initial estimates for what a fitness center membership would cost for a non-resident? Our office is across the street from Warson Park, so I anticipate many colleagues wanting to work out there. Well, we hope so. That would be great. Or Barb, I'm going to turn that over to you.
We absolutely are looking at Bridge Park and Danforth and all the Benson Hill, everyone over there as part of our, our customer base. So we do not know what the fees will be, but we definitely will be refining those in the public process. The city council approves the fees, but we know that the proximity for those businesses over there is a great benefit for us. So we will probably be reaching out to those businesses to see if there's a way we can collaborate with them too for some of those memberships. But I can't put a finger on a non-resident fee at this time.
What is the timeline for the property at Dealman and Olive? I'm assuming we're talking about both the Firestone project and the Veterans Park. I think we talked about Veterans Park in terms of its completion time. Barb, can you address Firestone, where they are in their process?
Right, Firestone, they've had their plans submitted and approved by the Planning Commission. They are going to be, the next step then will be for them to do a plat consolidation, and then they'll apply for their permits to actually start the construction. We anticipate them probably, they'll probably have their permits within 1 to 2 months, depending on how quickly they're able to get the plat moved forward. So they're moving.
Okay, and then they will begin construction once their permits are gathered, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, because they haven't gotten to that step, we're not exactly sure on their time frame. But there's definitely work that they'd be able to do during the winter months.
Okay, there we go. And the other question is, if someone wants to volunteer for a park in their neighborhood, who do they contact?
You can contact me, absolutely, and I'll put you in touch with our horticulturalist and with our volunteers. Absolutely.
Great. You are all able to unmute yourselves and ask questions as you wish. I know with Zoom it's a little hard because one starts to speak and then there's always that cutoff time. So, go ahead, Mr. Goldie. You have a question for us?
You answered mine.
Okay, I did. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, Mayor, can you give an update of Greg's big project at Olive and 170?
The project is obviously had some slowdown because of COVID. We are hoping that he will be able to break ground this summer. We do know that there is still, planned is the hotel and planned is the office building. I do not know any of the other tenants that may be in that project right now, if he's signed any or not. As I said, COVID has become the main conversation and the reason that things have slowed down so substantially. But we do know that the project is still moving forward. It's just not moving forward as quickly as it might have been pre-COVID. Anybody else? Don't be shy. There has to be questions you want to know. Are you all seeing what's going on at the old City Hall site? That's coming along pretty well. It's going to be apartment buildings, for those who may not have known that. It's apartment buildings, and they've named it to honor us, the Oliver. So we're pretty excited about that. It'll be apartments, and there'll be some retail there as well, so that's pretty exciting. Across the street, another beautiful project is going to go up. I don't know if anybody can access that quickly, what those look like, and show them. That's going to be another retail center. It's beautiful. I believe their permits have been issued. Is that right? Their permits have been issued? Yeah.
And they've, I think it was in the latest update. I believe they're getting the permitting from, they just received permitting from MSD as well.
Okay, so they're fully permitted then, which means that construction could start. And that is a beautiful and very exciting project as well. So there's going to be a lot going on along Olive Boulevard, somewhat simultaneously. So the city, a year from now, along Olive Boulevard will look very different. And as we discussed this morning, our parks will look very different. We'll be in the throes of the community center build. It's all going to be really, really exciting. I'm overusing that word, but I can't stress it enough. How great it's going to be for us as a city.
Mayor, what is the Dealman Road project looking like for the remainder of the winter?
That is a great question, and we discussed this as well on Tuesday with the city manager. And if I misspeak, Barb, just let me know. So the construction is going to shore up and finish up the conduit area and make sure that that is completely done before they close down for the winter. They will not be able to begin the sidewalks or any of the road work until they can go back to work again in the early spring. So, but the road itself will get opened again once they finish that conduit area where the water goes through. And that's what they're working on now, is to finish that and get it done before they have to close down. And I don't know when that close down time will be because it is really weather dependent. But they are working, they're working at least 5 or 6 days a week now to finish that work. I hope that answers your question.
Mayor, just put up the
Okay.
9514 Olive Boulevard.
So this is going to be across the street from where the old City Hall property will be. And as you can see, it's very different than anything we've ever had on Olive Boulevard. Its design is just lovely, and it'll be a retail site that will hold and have the Plant Haven, which was always a temporary situation on the bowling alley parking lot. That Plant Haven is going to be part of this new development. And then there'll be a couple other retail slots in there as well. So we are very excited to have this across the street from where the apartment buildings will be. I don't know if we have the apartment buildings. So,
I'll get him just one moment, Mayor.
okay, so that's what's happening there. And then across the street will be the apartment buildings. Down the way a little bit will be the Firestone. And the Firestone, when we say Firestone, this is going to be a really beautiful building. You're not going to be able to see bays of cars from the Olive Boulevard when you drive past Olive Boulevard. In order to access the workspace, you actually have to drive through to the rear and come through there to get into one of the work bays. So the front of the building is going to have more of a real true building feel to it and not look like a garage space. So we're pretty excited about that as well. I'm going to just let Barb get that up. Is there anybody with any other questions for me?
Yeah, at one point on Olive, there was I saw plans for a 4 or 5 story storage building. Is that still in the works somewhere?
It is still in the works. We're still waiting for them to get started. Again, they hit a really huge couple snags. They're a company out of Michigan. They were in some pretty serious lockdown through COVID, And so they had some issues that they were dealing with that prevented them from being able to really get themselves mobilized and off the ground. They had other things that they were doing to be really good corporate citizens in working with MSD and the adjacent resident neighbors. So that took them a lot longer in time than they thought it would. I don't have any start date for them, but I know that they have more or less leveled that area right now, and they are still planning to move forward. So this is the new apartments that are going to go across the street from the development that we just had up. This is called the Oliver, and so it'll be apartment buildings with garage parking and some sort of commercial retail sort of development, probably perhaps a casual restaurant. I think that was part of the discussion, but they're still, I think, discussing that. So we're pretty excited. This is the Firestone. So the view that you see at the top is actually the rear of the building. And then the north elevation, is that the center one, Barb?
Yes.
Yes, it is, Mayor.
That's what you will see from Olive. And then the east and the west elevations. So you're not really seeing garage bays. You have to come in through and then circle around to the back of that building. And, it's my experience that drawings don't necessarily always do justice to something. You actually have to see it. And, but we're pretty excited about all of that. There's just a lot going on. Any other questions for us?
I was going to try to
find the site plan for the landscaping. One moment.
Okay. Oh, that's for Veterans Memorial. Okay. I am going to do Coffee with the Mayor again quickly. It'll be November the 10th, and we're going to be talking some more planning and zoning. So if you're interested in hearing some more of that, please join us on November 10th at 8:45. Hold on, there's a question. What are the plans for the area across the street from the police and fire station? Very good question. So the city has sold its property. The city actually owned a property there. And we've sold one of our property to a developer. His name is Doug Cohen. Doug is trying to assemble all those homes on that side of Dealman. He intends to put townhomes there. I believe if you went to his website, douglasproperties.com, you can actually see plans for those townhomes. I think there are 30 townhomes. I don't know if it's 30 or 50 townhomes that he wants to put on that site.
30, I believe.
30, that's what I
I'm
thought.
bringing that up now too, Mayor.
30 townhomes that he wants to put on that site. City's very excited, mostly because this is aside from Castlegate, we don't really have that sort of housing option in the city. There are not very many of those for us and for our residents. So this is his proposal. It's my understanding from talking to him, the two end units would actually have the ability to have elevators placed in them. So they would be great for people transitioning, seniors transitioning from homes to this sort of a living situation. He is trying to acquire all the properties, and the project is obviously dependent on his ability to be able to do that. So we are, again, the city is very interested in this sort of housing stock. It is something that we have very little of, and it makes a lot of sense for our demographic.
I wonder if I might ask a question about, apparently we're hearing a new proposed apartment development on I-170 at Delmar. Do you see any potential impact to Olivet? And also, I guess reading about it kind of reminded me, I'm a little fuzzy on our eastern border. I'm not, could you kind of give a general idea where our eastern border of Olivet really is?
Eastern border, we actually run just under 170, I believe, is the edge of our eastern border. So from a buildable standpoint, our border would be at the corner of Olive and the west side of 170. While geographically, we may just go underneath 170, we're not going to be building anything there. We don't touch the lumberyard and the storage facility, Bob's Seafood, all of that is part of University City. So I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Did you say Delmar and I-170? That would be University City.
Right. Yeah, apparently it's just some, just reading about some proposed apartments down there. And I
Okay.
was just curious, do you anticipate any impact on Olivet or the traffic pattern? And again, where the Olivet border is right in that area.
That is beyond our border. So we come south to along Price to Delmar and a little bit east into Delmar, but it zigs and it zags. And I'm trying to think if like is it Dumbarton? I don't know if that's us or not. It might be parts of it, but it really zigs and zags. When you get down all the way, Delmar, all the way down to 170, that is way into University City already.
The U City apartments at Delmar are actually on the east side of 170, and that is, and our borders are further on the west side of I-170. I don't anticipate, if that project moves forward, I don't anticipate that having much of an impact on all of that.
Right, I don't either. It's when you come up into Olive that we get our boundary goes a little underneath 170 on the east, but when you come down onto the Delmar side, we're way west of 170. So it's sort of an angled situation, more of an angled situation. Yeah, I don't anticipate that having any impact on us whatsoever. But that is why, in some ways, that project across from the New City Center is really interesting to the city, only because it presents a different sort of housing stock. And we have a lot of single-family homes. We have apartments. Going to have some more apartments. We do have Castlegate Villas, which is more townhouse living, but it would be nice to have additional townhouse living because, we have a significant population that is over the age of 65 that might like to stay in Olivet and transition out of their current single-family homes, but may not necessarily want to move into an apartment, might still like to own a townhouse, and there aren't that many options for them. So that's a pretty exciting possibility. Anybody else?
I think a new question came in. I'd be happy to answer it.
Go ahead.
And Mary, I also believe Roy has, someone has their hand up.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, my bad.
Do you want to take, I'll do mine very quickly. Brianna is asking, will the new community center courts have a divider so that multiple games can be played at once? And yes, there'll be one divider in there. Yes.
Okay. Roy, do you have a question, Roy? Just unmute yourself.
No, thank you. That was my question about across the road from on Dillman.
Okay,
So I ended up putting it on chat. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else? You have to, when you do Zoom, you have to watch the Q&A, watch the chat, watch everybody's hand go up. It's like, I feel like I'm like playing a video game. It's fascinating. I miss those old days.
You're
when it
gonna,
was a
you're
meeting.
gonna do well when esports comes, Mayor.
Yeah, I miss the old days when it was just a meeting and it was just us and we would sit in a room together, have coffee and eat.
With baked goods.
Yeah, I miss that. But yeah, so if there are no other questions, I really appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you so much to Beverly, to Barb for hosting. As I mentioned, we will be back again on November the 10th at 8:45. Please join us. Please sign up for Turkey Trot or donate to Turkey Trot. It's always appreciated, whatever you do. But most of all, I want you to know that we really do appreciate you as residents for everything that you've done to help us achieve the goals and the visions that we have created based on what you've told us that you've wanted. So thank you so much. And one last question. And oh, you're very welcome. Thank you, Roy. And we will see you all back again in November. Take care, everyone, and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.